What's going on? What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Chef Joseph, the entrepreneur here with another video. Today is Wednesday, October the 23rd. Wednesday, October the 23rd. It's getting cold outside, y'all. Getting cold. Getting cold more ways than one. More ways than one. So as an entrepreneur, I'm here to talk to you this morning about kind of a part two from yesterday. Because we talked about Section 8, you know what I'm saying? I was talking about Section 8 and how, they're cutting certain programs. And unfortunately, it is a real conversation. Um, like I said, I see a double side to this thing because I definitely believe that the programs are there to help people, not to enable them. And from the stories and things that I've seen, we had a lot of people just having, or women, not saying all women, but a lot of women were talking about, they got 6 or 7 kids and all 9 children and all that. How they gonna eat? Yeah, the scripture said, "Be fruitful and multiply." Yes, I agree with that. Be fruitful and multiply. And the way it seems, it's like they was fruitful and multiplied, but that system wasn't meant for you to stay on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. It's not meant for that. It was supposed to be a hand up. My heart goes out to them women, that do, they've been at home, what, 9 years or whatever, raising a family. And now, you know, the funding is gone or will be gone. So that is not a joke, because how these babies gonna eat? A second part of this conversation will be talking about the government shutdown. I'm sure you hear it. Everybody's talking about it. It's all over the news, and the government shutdown is a real situation. You know, I don't get into the details of everything. Why they shut down. Well, we know why they shut down. The spending bill was not approved. So that means there are people that are going to be without jobs, or if they're working jobs, they're not going to be getting paid to work those jobs. For a certain amount of time. That's something that I'm sure that hopefully, someone will work that out, because there's going to be a lot of people out here suffering. Um, but yeah, which brings me back into the subject of entrepreneurship. How can someone say, "Oh, how are you going to be an entrepreneur when I have no money?" Unfortunately, that's a situation that people should have thought about while the grass was green. So while the grass was green, you know what I'm saying? While the grass was green, you know, that should have been time to be planning, to setting up your business structure or your business structures. So just in case something like this was to happen or were to happen, then you would have had built at least a parachute, you know, and you would have had something to, if you jumped out the plane, you have a parachute to catch you. Unfortunately, a lot of people didn't do that. A lot of people got comfortable. So some of the things, I took a couple of notes here. Of course, with the shutdown, government services will be shut down. Parks and the state parks and stuff like that will be shut down. But one of the ones was talking about new business loans. Do I feel that you need a business loan to start a business? No. I did it without a business loan. You know what I'm saying? It's called sweat equity. And you can do the same as well. You don't necessarily need a business loan to start a business, though it is very helpful. Um, One of the benefits of starting a business without a business loan was that you don't have to pay anyone back. You own everything, which is cool. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, several thousands of dollars, but yet, if you save your money, you can make it. You know what I'm saying? It's not that hard. I've run across other entrepreneurs who have business ideas, and when you ask them, you know, what do you want to do? Oh, I want to do a bed and breakfast and da 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 da, way up in the air. There's nothing wrong with that vision. I'm not one to shoot anyone's vision down. But what I will say is that you have to be realistic. Something like that will take tens of thousands of dollars. You know what I'm saying? And you have to start small from somewhere, you know, and then, it'll catapult you to the next level in your business. So basically, the shutdown is serious, you know. Between the Section 8 and the shutdown, there's going to be a lot of hurting people, as I just said. Those of you who have gardens, get your paperwork together and start selling your products. You know, look into licensing, into what you can do to move your products. I decided to do something today. And I'm about to be a blessing to somebody, y'all. See, the Most High didn't give us, and if we talk about Section 8, we talking about shutdown. But I know a couple sisters that have children, they have families actually, and they aspire to do business. But yes, if they could have a hand up, yeah, it would definitely help them. But I'm about to be a blessing to somebody. And it's cool, you know what I'm saying? Because we're not just put here just to do it all ourselves. If we can see we can be a blessing to someone, you know what I'm saying, then it's good to be able to pass that back. Okay? So with that being said, I just wanted to drop that on you because the government shutdown is here. Many people will not have food. I was looking at the stories about food stamps and stuff like that. Who's going to have them? Who's not going to have them? And it's not looking good. I have my personal opinions about it. Bottom line is the country's been messed up. And most people know who messed it up. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, the American people are suffering behind someone else's mess up. And I can say that's neither here nor there at this point. Let's talk about recovery or sustainability. How can we sustain even though these things have happened? I must admit, it's pretty tight out there, y'all. It's very tight in business, honestly, because it's just real. We're in a different season now. I look at when I was homeless. You know what I'm saying? There was a window. I didn't see the window at the time. I didn't pay attention to that window at the time, but I knew that it was a small window. And with that window, I didn't really pay attention to it, but I just kept on moving. Just kept on grinding, kept on moving, kept on grinding. But now that I look back, it was a small window that we went through, that I went through. And so with that, I was able to escape. I'm using that for an example. So we have to move in a certain window of time because it doesn't stay, that window's not going to stay open forever. Fast forward to today. Homelessness has skyrocketed. Joblessness has skyrocketed. People without food has skyrocketed. The shelters are full, skyrocketed. But that time I was homeless, I used that window for that time to basically to escape what's happening now. Because being homeless today now, it's not good. I know it's tough. It's not the same conversation. That's why I employ you, fellow entrepreneurs and entrepreneurettes, to basically start something for yourself. It's never too late, because that's what we have to do now. You know what I'm saying? We got to learn to barter. We have to learn to trade. Um, this is something that we have to learn to do now, because the time now is tough. Not many people have $10,000 to start a business. Hell, the American people struggling, they might not even have $1,000, $500. So what do you do with something like that? Man, I got answers, but you have to start small. Right now, my advice is to, if you do have a job, to any entrepreneur out there, if you have any type of source of income, you do not need to quit your job in this season. I'm letting you know. That should be the takeaway for today's conversation. So many of y'all, and I'm talking about from personal experience, so many of y'all quitting jobs, quit jobs, working jobs. I don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Now, Section 8 is being cut out. The government shutdown is here. No one knows when this is going to basically resurface. You know, and what are you going to do? My advice is to not quit that job unless it's bad for your mental health. You shouldn't go into any type of toxic environment that threatens your mental health. You shouldn't. But as an entrepreneur, you're going to wear many different hats. You're going to go through many different scenarios, different things you will experience as an entrepreneur. And so this is not the time to quit anything. Hold on to your job. Matter of fact, if you can get 2 jobs, save your money, and go from there. But basically, since the shutdown is here, what are you going to do? So, like I said again, I feel for those. I do. I feel for those people who have not prepared. I feel, excuse me. I feel for those people who have not prepared when you had a whole years and years of time to prepare for calamity. But how did you use that time effectively? All good things must come to an end. All things. Think about it. Husband and wife get married. They can have a happy marriage, happy life. I seen it. I'm from the country. I seen long marriages last for years. But one day, it had to come to an end. Somebody departs, somebody stays, and the next person departs. It's an inevitable cycle of life that all things must conclude. All things must conclude. And so be encouraged. Even though you see this calamity, things that are happening, create a vision board. Create a vision board, create a plan, and create a timeline for yourself. Okay? Create a vision board, create a plan, and create a timeline for yourself, so you can sustain in such calamity. I'm for real about that, okay? I want y'all to win and stay focused. Do not give up on your entrepreneur dream, because that is exactly what's happening right now. You know, so I'm gonna leave y'all with that. The government shutdown is here. It's been here, and don't let it discourage you. Continue to press forward. Okay? Y'all have a wonderful day. I'm out.